Welcome to Getting Aligned, a human design podcast where we dive into the endless journey of self-discovery using human design. This podcast is created for individuals who want to know how human design can assist them on the road towards self-awareness, healing, and personal growth by uncovering the unique blueprint that shapes each of us. From practical insights to profound revelations, Getting Aligned will be your companion on this transformative journey as we collectively step into our purpose. Whether you're new to human design or a seasoned explorer, there's something here for everyone. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle into something comfortable, and let's embark on this adventurous journey of self-discovery together. It's time that we all rediscover who we were born to be. What's up, Soul Tribe? Happy Gregorian New Year. Obviously, I'm saying Gregorian New Year because we just entered the calendar year, January 1st. So we're at the top of the Gregorian calendar. We still have about 2 weeks before human design enters its new year on January 22nd. So by January 22nd, the sun will have completed a full cycle through all 64 gates in the human design body graph. So basically, in previous episodes, if I mentioned that when we have undefined gates and channels in our system, and we are around others who have those specific gates and channels activated or colored, then we gain temporary access to those different gates, channels, and centers, right? So basically, the sun does a rotation through all 64 gates and channels, and those transits also give us temporary access to the different gates and channels and centers that are all connected. Obviously, this is like one of the next level things of human design I hadn't dove into specifically, but I wanted to just highlight that again as we get ready to enter in the human design new year. Obviously, we still have our astrological new year, which doesn't begin into the spring equinox at the start of Aries season, right? So that's still a couple of months away. Some other major updates: Mercury has gone direct after being in retrograde at the tail end of 2023. Pluto is now entering Aquarius on January 20th. I'm so excited and overwhelmed. I call it exi-whelmed because I have my big three are Virgo Sun, Scorpio Moon, and Aquarius Rising, and so I'm kind of excited and nervous to see what happens energetically speaking for myself, as well as on a collective as we now move into this very powerful, potent energy for the next 19 plus years, right? So I'm just, again, ready to see what happens personally and professionally. And so, I wanted to take a minute in today's episode to just talk a little bit about the universal energy that I think we all have been experiencing for the last 3 years, and how I think we can move into this year hopefully feeling a little bit more inspired, empowered maybe, and also maybe we're still needing to see where there's some work, some mindset work that we need to continue to work on in this coming year. And so this brings me back to a few weeks ago. I was actually diving into numerology, which is the study of the mystical relationship between numbers and their influence in our lives. And I'm still there's so much that I need to learn about, that I'm interested in learning about, not necessarily at this particular time, but as a whole, I'm definitely going to continue to dive into some of this, the realm of numerology. But one of the things that I had learned in my brief dive, I guess, if you will, was my life path number, which is a 4, which denotes characteristics of being a natural leader, that I possess enormous strength, integrity, and discipline. There was my expression number, which was one of the most which is a 7, and it was deemed to be a really mystical expression number. it basically, told me that I love to dive into the secrets of human nature, that I'm essentially a truth seeker. I can completely agree with so much of 7 of my expression number, and a lot of my life path number being a 4. And then it also told me what my soul urge number was, which was a 3. I'm actually going to drop the link that I used in the show notes so you can dive in if you are interested or if you feel called to do so. Like I said, I definitely want to dive into this, like getting a professional reader to read my chart eventually. Like, again, I'm going to invest in all the things that I want to study. And yeah, because it's in my design, it's in my chart. But yeah, so my soul urge number, which was a 3, I talked about this magnetism that I possess, that there's a friendliness to me, this sensitive nature. There was just a lot. Again, like I said, I'm going to drop that into the show notes because I just think it was really fascinating. But anyway, what really got me into, or once I started listening to some information on numerology, like I was just like diving deep. And I love when I get into these moments where I can just like, nerd out on topics. But I actually had uncovered, this was at the end of last year. So I had actually uncovered that last year was a universal 7 year. The way that you get a universal year, the number for that year rather, is by adding up all of the singular digits in a given year, and you continue to break it down until you get to a single digit. For example, 2020 was a universal 4 years. So you add the 2, the 0, the 2, and the 0, which equals out to 4. You don't really need to break that down any further because it's a single digit. And I was practicing doing this with other years, and I was trying to like look up the similarities that were experienced in those years that were maybe a 4, or the years that were a 5. Like, I was just having so much fun. And then, like, literally, I swear, I'm like low-key geeking out all over it. Anyway, so in my research, I had found that many numerologists in 2019 had predicted that the next year was going to be a bit of a shakeup. Like, we were going to have to go into the foundations of life, the foundations of things, relationships, careers, relationships with others, relationships with ourselves, careers, health. Like, it was just going to be a really powerful, potent year. And then what happened in 2020? The freaking global pandemic freaking hit, made us look inward. It really made us look at our own personal foundations. And I think if obviously you're listening to this, you can remember what it was like to, in terms of the shakeup that we experienced collectively. But I'm also curious to know what foundations were being chipped away at, or where were you being called to revisit in terms of foundations in your own life. Like, for me, I recognize that the foundations that I was building my life on were not of my own. They were not working. And in fact, they were leading to my very own detriment of my health. So my career and my health and my relationships with others and myself were, when that's honestly par for the course, that's usually the things that are always shaken up in my life. I was diagnosed with a liver condition in 2020. I caught COVID a couple of times, a lot of which was like because my work didn't tend to the fact that we were like all going through this global experience, and like we're still calling us to be around each other. Like, so it was like sometimes I was catching COVID unnecessarily for like the basic reason that the job didn't really care, right? So like I said, a lot of the foundations that I built my life on, they were false. They were conditioned beliefs. They were false narratives. Like, I think we all may agree that, again, 2020 was really caused us to look at our foundations that we were building. Anywho, so 2021, which is a universal 5 year, again, you add the 2, the 0, the 2, and the 1 to equal 5, was a universal year of freedom, instability and change. And I think we saw the birth, obviously it started in 2020, but we really saw the birth of working from home and like being granted with more time and freedom to do the things that matter to us most, right? We saw the birth of people deciding that they were ready to launch businesses or that their careers were not aligned with their life or their vision of life, right? Again, for me, I needed to change the way that I was approaching my mental health. I needed to, I started diving deeper into spirituality. That became, my spiritual studies became my new norm. In 2020 to 2021, I also entered my Saturn return. And so that was deeply, deeply powerful and transformative. Again, Saturn entered Aquarius. And so I feel like I just got off a roller coaster a couple of years ago for the last, that 3-year period. And now, Pluto's getting ready to go into Aquarius for like, all right, whatever, bring it. I'm ready. Anyway, so yeah, 2021 was the universal 5-year. And so I'm curious what was shaken up in your life? What needed to be changed? Where did you need to exercise more freedom, right? 2022 was a universal 6-year. This was about social responsibility, caring, compassion. You're basically looking at the quiet after the storm of a nightmare that we had experienced for the previous 2 years, right? For me, went into hermit mode. In 2022 was the birth, for me, was the start of experimenting with my human design. It was realizing the business that I had built in 2020 actually wasn't aligned for me right now, right? Again, it was still off of the false foundation. And so again, it's led to the birth of somatic human design, right? Last year was a collective transformational year for all of us, a universal 7-year. We were all called to dive in personally, spiritually, just going inward to do this work to find what I believe is our authentic, unique voices. And the question I'm posing to you, if you will, or want you to ponder on is like, what did I need to work? What was I learning back then? What was what was going on for me as a overall in 2023? Even in my work, I know hindsight is obviously 2020, but I look back at the clients that I worked with, and it was many people having to dive inward to do a lot of that reflection work. And so now we are moving into the universal 8-year. 2024 is deemed a universal 8-year. This is a year that is set to be one of abundance and prosperity. And I think this is the case for many people if, and I'm using the word if, done correctly. The work still has to be done simultaneously. I think our auras, our unique gifts, they will magnetize what abundance will actually look like, or rather what we're actually creating magnetism around, right? So this abundance, this word abundance can be like, oh, it's going to be great. And I hope that is the case for anyone listening. But I also challenge people to think that abundance can also be an abundance of pain, an abundance of bitterness, of frustration, of disappointment, right? So if we're not doing the work, we're going to be creating magnetism around some really unhelpful and unhealthy things. But I don't think this is the case if you're listening to this. I think you are one of those individuals who are going to be obtaining, abundance and prosperity in all the right ways. So again, I invite you to think about some question. I asked the question already earlier than I anticipated, but the question was, basically, what lessons or themes did I learn in 2023? Where was I forced to go inward and look at what about myself wasn't jiving with me? Did I just say jiving? Oh my gosh, I don't know where that came from. What lessons did I learn in 2023? Well, I cannot. So journal on that. All right, let's move on. And then the other question is, what do I hope to create magnetism around in 2024? So again, what themes or lessons showed up for me in 2023? What did I need to learn? And then 2024, what do I hope to create magnetism around so that I can gain prosperity and abundance in all the ways that are actually energetically correct for me? I am sending out into the universe that for this new year, that I will, continue to build and to cultivate and create a community and a space surrounding human design through my program, Somatic Human Design. And I hope to continue to honor my strategy and my authority. I think for me, some of the biggest lessons that I learned in 2023, one of the things that I definitely wanted to say in the realm of business and creating a spiritual business is don't let everyone into your business. What I mean by that is when you're cultivating and creating a vision, it's okay to seek out support from others. I'm not saying don't, but when it comes to like knowing what it is that you feel called to do, don't allow others to sort of push onto you what they think you should be doing, or like, and that's a really thin line. So I'll let you practice discernment. Honestly, at this point, strategy and authority, which I'll continue to dive into, is primary way of knowing who to allow to support you in the development of your business. But I learned in 2023, not everyone will understand my vision and not everyone will understand my purpose and my mission. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with it. Just I had a lot of consequences to learn last year as a result of not following my strategy and my authority and honoring what is that I feel called to do, namely in the game of just how I want to show up in my business, how I want to show up for people, like how I want to send out into the universe and attract what is for me. Learn the lesson. Thank you. Next. Not trying to learn it again. So that is what I hope to really work on this year and create magnetism around. And what I had learned, one of the things I had learned from 2023. Interestingly enough, at the end of last year, I got to close last year and start this year doing what I love. And that was human design readings. And I'm thankful, grateful. There's a rhyme coming somewhere in there. I'm thankful and grateful that I got to help someone dive into their design. And, they like to see people get extremely lit up. It is such an honor for me to be able to provide people with information on, in that one-to-one level, which is where I thrive, and like really help ask them a lot of questions, give them a lot of homework. Yes, I say homework because you will walk away with homework if you are working with me on ways to start implementing their human design, start to practice their experiment. And having, we just shared some tears and it was correct. And it was, the individual had an emotional authority. And these are, again, things I'm going to dive into, but it had just this emotional center that was lit up and I felt it. And like, we just cried together and laughed together and smiled together. We're perplexed together, and I've known them previously. So being able to see, I think your human design body graph is a very intimate thing that, again, my opinion, not everybody, should see or gets the right to see. Like, again, discernment. But just seeing that, like just being able to share that space was so incredibly special. And then we got to have a follow-up call, right at the start of the new year, and like they dove in deeper to human design, a little bit into like reading things online, but they were just like, expressing gratitude, like it, from their own words of like, there's nothing like actually getting someone to read. Like, yes, I can buy these reports, and yes, I can like, dive in to a book, but like having someone walk you through, having someone walk you through your system and a foundation of reading is so incredibly powerful, and will see specific things differently than anything you will find in the general public. Like, that was really powerful for me, and like reaffirming for me of like, do what you are called to do. Human design found me through my Saturn return experience, and it found me at the right time. I was already diving into the secrets of human nature, again, going all the way back to what my soul number and my what my expression number is. It's like I was already diving into the secrets, and so human design found me at the right time. And I'm just deeply humbled and grateful that this came to me, and that I feel called to help others through their experiment and their journey. So that was a little bit about the things I learned, what I hope to create magnetism around, and how I got to enter the new year doing what I am loving right now. And so I just want you to have an abundant and prosperous year, and stay tuned for the next episode. Sending you plenty and plenty of love and light. If you have not yet, you can find me on the social medias. I am experimenting with Threads. I'm experimenting with TikTok. I'm experimenting with IG, just finding what works for me, what I feel called to do. You can find me on Threads and Instagram at Somatic Human Design. You can find me on TikTok at Somatic Human Design _ and connect with me there. Like, someone reached out to me that they had found this podcast, and I honestly haven't been doing like promotion yet. Like, I haven't been like, hey guys, podcast episodes out. Like, I haven't been doing any of that yet. So the fact that that person was found me and was listening was so incredibly, like, I'm in a space of gratitude just for so many different things. But I'll say that again. Follow me, send me a message, connect with me. Let's cultivate community together. Let's create magnetism collectively around abundance and prosperity for this year. All right, done. See you next week.